Hey up guys, welcome back to another video. This is my trophy guide and roadmap for the Virtuous Cycle DLC. I do normally do full trophy walkthroughs, but because it's a sort of a roguelike DLC and it's quite repetitive, I figured a trophy guide like this would be better. I'll break everything down for you guys and go over everything in detail and show a roadmap as well. Let's dive in. I've broke this down into three parts. We'll have the overview, followed by the trophy guide and the roadmap at the end, because the roadmap will go into a little bit more detail. So the overview, estimated platinum difficulty, I gave it a 5 to 7 out of 10. If you're used to this game and you've been through the original quite a lot of times, or you're just used to Dark Souls style games, this should be a bit closer to 5. But if you're jumping into this for the first time, you never played the game before, it's probably going to be a lot closer to 7. It's just harder than the main game. I think it is a little bit actually. The main game you do have a no-shell walkthrough, but on the main game you can actually just restart from save point. Here, if you die, you have to redo the whole thing again, and you're basically playing the main game on this 7 times. So yeah, 5 to 7 out of 10. Estimated platinum time, minimum probably about 15 hours if you're quite optimal, and a maximum around 30 if you're sort of doing everything completely blind and grinding a bit as you go and just having a bit of fun, bit more fun basically outside of the trophies. Online trophies 0, offline 12. They're all bronze. I don't know why they're all bronze, because some of them are quite difficult. Missable trophies, that's 1. Change of heart. It would be quite easy to get this if you did mess it up, but yeah, there is a missable trophy, just bear that in mind. And minimum playthroughs, yes, 7 minimum. There's nothing you can do about that. You have to play 7 minimum, guys. Right, so that's it for the overview. Let's jump in to the actual trophy guide. This is the trophy list, guys. I've took this from PSN profiles. I go through this quickly, so I want to keep this brief because the roadmap's probably going to be a bit more detailed. So, gateway drug. Spend 100,000 tar in the Virtuous Cycle. When you go through cycles, you'll be collecting items, you'll be killing enemies, and you'll be gathering tar. And basically with your tar, you spend it at Runic Gate in the hub area, Fulgrim Tower, or as well you will spend it in the cycles when you're purchasing from certain pillars. You do need to buy a perk from the Runic Gate called Retain Tar in order to keep any tar you found in the game. That's probably one of the abilities you want to purchase first from the Runic Gate. Retain Tar, but this should come naturally over your 7 cycles. You'll easily get probably over 300,000 tar, so do not worry about that. As long as you're sort of collecting things along the way, that should come naturally. Seedbearer, return your first seed to Twin Sister. When you complete a cycle, you get a seed at the end. There's 7 cycles you have to do altogether to get all the seeds. And all you need to do, when you've completed your first cycle, got your first seed, talk to Twin Sister in the hub and say yes to give her the seed. True Nectar, return all seeds to Twin Sister and break the Virtuous Cycle. So this is the long one. You have to complete 7 cycles because you get all the seeds in order. There's no way around it. You have to complete 7 cycles. Each cycle you complete, you'll get a new seed. And once you've got all 7 and handed them into Twin Sister, you'll get that trophy. Just make sure you've got Change of Heart trophy before you finish True Nectar and hand in all the seeds. Fashion shells, that's what unlocking all the shell shades for the Virtuous Cycle. Basically, each shell you have, they have different shades which have specific bonuses. The shades are they're basically like skins, sort of costumes, and there's 3 for each of the 6 shells. I'm counting the foundling as a shell as well. There's 3 for each of these. You get 1 each of them for completing a cycle. So you need to complete, when you complete a cycle 7 times, make sure you do it with each shell or each character, just to save you grinding later. And then the other 2 shades for each shell are normally for killing a certain amount of enemies, a certain amount of enemy type. But you can check your progress just by going in the Runic familiarity menu in the inventory screen, and you can check all your progress there. Loot Hero, you can get this in the main game or in the DLC. Basically, you've got to max all of the game's loots. You've got a simple loot, impervious loot, and the new clockwork loot. So if you've been through the main game already and platinumed it, you'll have 2 of the loots already max familiarised. Then you just need to get a clockwork loot, which you buy from Haddon which you will find out in a later trophy when I talk about it, the answer. But you just got to max familiarise each level 3 loots and you'll pop that trophy. Overpowered as Frank, acquire 100 instincts in one cycle. You likely get this one naturally as well, because as you go through the cycles, in order to make it easier, you need to collect everything as you go along. Really collect everything as you go along, and you should easily get that. If you don't get it to begin with, once you buy the abundance perk from the runic gate, that will make you find much more instincts, and once you buy that, it'll be much easier. But you do want to buy abundance a little bit later on, just because when you do buy it, you find less items in the world. Change of heart, that's the missable trophy. Return a seed with Hayden in the Virtuous Cycle. So when you return the seeds, as I spoke about in Seed Bearer and the True Nectar trophy, you can actually go down in the hub area, down the stairs, and you'll find all the shells set in the tomb like in the main game. And all you need to do is interact with the Haddon shell, so you equip it in the hub world. It won't affect the actual cycles, by the way. Yeah, equip the Haddon shell by going downstairs, and then go upstairs to the twin sister and give her a seed that you haven't given her yet while in that Haddon shell, and that'll pop that trophy. Yes, it's missable because you could have handed in all the seeds before you've done this, and if that does happen, it just means you're going to have to start another cycle and another save and do one more cycle again to get another seed and do that. Master of None, acquire all 4 weapon instincts for the Axe Tanner in one cycle. The Axe Tanner, to unlock it in the DLC, all you need to do is start a cycle with each shell and each weapon and get an instinct, then start another cycle with another shell, another weapon, and get another instinct, and just do that with all the shells, all the main 4 shells and all the 4 weapons, and that will unlock that. And that's probably something you really want to do first, guys, because the Axe Tanner is a awesome weapon. It's a awesome weapon. But yeah, once you've got the Axe Tanner, use that for a cycle, and as long as you're getting all the instincts, I'd say, as long as you're getting all the instincts and pillars and whatnot along the way, all you need to do, you need to get all the combat instincts for that and all the weapon instincts. Not all of them, you just need to fill the 2 slots. There's 2 slots for combat, 2 for weapons, so you need 4 in total. You might not get them all on one cycle, you may not, but as long as you keep using the Axe Tanner, you should easily get that throughout your 7 cycles. You need both the combat instincts and both the weapon instincts for it to pop it, so 4 instincts in total. No lifer, complete a run in the Virtuous Cycle with a dark obsidian shell shade. Yes, this is probably the hardest one. This is the hardest shade to use. The founding one isn't that hard, the one with no shell, but this one, the obsidian shell shade, is very hard because your health depletes. It's quite slow actually, so it's not like a big problem. Your health depletes, but the main problem is because your health is at 100 and there's no way to increase it. And because you're in the obsidian shell shade, you can't get all the character instincts that you normally get for all the other shells, so you're severely underpowered for this one. This is the hardest one, but you want to go for this last. So you've done all the other shells first, you've done the foundling. You need to complete a cycle with foundling anyway to unlock this. Just keep all your mortal tokens and any ornate tokens that you find, because they'll be really helpful on your obsidian run. There can be only one. Be all variants of the dark shells in the Virtuous Cycle. This one isn't really that clear. At the end of the cycles, there's a boss fight you have to face. Well, 4 boss fights. Basically, each of the shells you have to fight, and the variants refer to the last shell you have to fight. So at the end boss, you've got to fight 4 shells, but it only refers to the last shell you have to fight, and it'll be a solo battle. There's a solo, then a duo, then another solo. It's only the solo battle at the end, and you basically need each shell to be the last one you face. So what I'll do on the roadmap, I will actually provide seed numbers for this, which you want to do, because each of the seed numbers will have a different shell as the last battle. But this is one, if you do not know about this and you do everything blind, this one could take a bit of grinding later on if you're just unlucky and you always have the same shell last. The answer on fully upgrade Haddon skill tree. You have to do this in the main game. You can't do this in the Virtuous Cycle, in a sort of roguelike element. You have to do this in the main game. And to unlock Haddon, first of all, you need to unlock all the weapons by beating Haddon in each of the temples at the beginning of each temple. 3 battles. Once you beat him in them, he'll appear on Fulgrim Tower, And once he's in Fulgrim Tower outside where the weapons are, just talk to him and there'll be one more battle, and then once you beat him, he's a lot harder this time, by the way. He's much harder. Once you beat him, his shell will rise up, interact with it, and you'll automatically equip it, and that's how you get his shell. And then to upgrade it, it'll cost about 18,000 tar to upgrade everything all together. And you seek his name first, and then you buy all his perks. But buying all his perks isn't enough. There are certain perks where you can actually select a sub perk. You actually need to pick a sub perk as well. Just having the main perk is not enough. The ones which have a sub perk, you have to actually apply a sub perk as well for it to count. And once you're doing that to them all, that'll pop that trophy. He's an awesome shell, by the way, because he can actually take abilities from other shells, so he could be a really great shell. There's a lot of different build ways you can go with Haddon. He's really great shell. And the final one, guys, summon assembly required. I don't know why this is a trophy. I've no idea why. All you need to do, get the axe katana and press L1 and R1 together, and that's it. That's how you get that trophy. So obviously get the axe katana in the main game. You have to unlock Haddon, and then you talk to him again, and his axe katana beside him, you can take it. That's after unlocking his shell. That's in the main game. But in the DLC, I've explained about it earlier. To unlock the axe katana in the DLC, all you need to do is grab an instinct with each shell and each weapon, and then that will unlock the axe katana. And then just grab it, press L1 and R1, and the trophy's yours. The easiest trophy you're going to get. So that's it, guys, for the trophy guide. We'll get into the final thing, and that's the roadmap. A trophy roadmap. Step 1. First of all, unlock Haddon and the axe katana, because the weapon is very overpowered, especially when you do a running R2 attack with the katana. Yeah, it does a hell of a lot of damage and a hell of a lot of stagger damage. It's really awesome, guys. It does so much damage, honestly. You won't believe how strong it is. But you want to do that first, and in order to do that, I did mention this in the trophy guide. You just need to get a instinct with each shell and each weapon, and just do that with each one, and then that will unlock it. It should only take like 5 minutes. As soon as you've got that instinct, you can just quit or die, and then select the other one, do it with another shell, another weapon, until you've got it. Step 2, unlock the anointed butcher shade for Eredrim to use for your first cycle. You can check the progress of this in your runic familiarity menu in the inventory. The reason you want to unlock this first is because this is a great shade to begin with, because Eredrim is a tank. He can take loads of damage. The HP, by the way, the size of the HP bar isn't an accurate representation of exactly how much HP they get. It's quite compressed, and it gets even more compressed the more HP you have. So Eredrim he's got like probably 4 times as much HP as Teal. It's mad. So you want to use Eredrim first, and to unlock the anointed butcher shade, all you need to do is start a cycle with Eredrim and kill the Grisha 5 times. If you kill a Grisha in a cave outside Fulgrim Tower, you'll get 20 glimpses at the same time, which is great for getting a good start on buying the retained tar perk in a runic gate. We'll do that first. Just kill 5 Grisha as Eredrim. That will unlock the anointed butcher shell, and it gives you an extra 20 base damage. That shell does. It's awesome to begin with, because to begin you've got little perks from a runic gate. Your weapon perk, your familiarity start for epic. Trait is not currently progressed to unlock that, so it's awesome to begin with to use your shade. Plus 20 damage. It's such a great buff to begin with. Combine that with the axe katana, guys, and your first cycle will be so easy. Step 3, complete a cycle with each of the 5 main shells. Use these 4 siege for 4 of the cycles, as these each have a different final boss. Yes, so now complete a cycle. Remember, make sure Eredrim and the anointed butcher shade is your first character you use, just because it'll be easier to get used to the game. Complete a cycle with each of the 5 main ones. That's Haros, Eredrim, Teal, Solomon, and Haddon. Yeah, complete 5 cycles. Each time use different one. And these seeds are put on the screen here. You want to use each of them because, like I said beforehand, for one of the trophies, where you have to defeat each of the variations of the final boss, and it's only the last boss that counts out of them 4. So you need to make sure you've got Eredrim at the end, Teal at the end, Solomon at the end, and Haros at the end. And what I've put on screen, them seed numbers are them bosses as the end battle. So 5 cycles guys with each of them, and then you only have 2 left to do. Step 4, complete a cycle as the foundling. Yeah, so foundling should be number 6, and by this point, by the foundling, you should have purchased everything from the runic gate, and should also have purchased the simple loot from the tower, which gives you an extra 30 to your HP. Now the foundling, he doesn't find any character instincts, so it does sound like it's a bit hard, but it's actually not that bad, because you find so many HP instincts with him and so much stamina. By the end of my foundling run, I had like 1000 HP and 1000 stamina. It's pretty crazy how much your HP you get and how much stamina, but it's not as bad as it sounds the foundling. So you're going to do that as your 6th cycle, complete cycle as the foundling, and then your 7th cycle, your last one, you're going to complete it as the obsidian shell shade, and that's the one you do. That's basically a shade for foundling, which you unlock for completing the cycle with the foundling, and this will be the hardest one. Your health depletes very slowly, and you've only got a maximum 100 HP, and you cannot increase it at all except for simple loot. The loot will give you an extra 30, so that's great. It's like an extra 30%, but outside of that there's no way to increase your health, so it's quite difficult. The obsidian cell shade, this is why you need to keep your immortal tokens and your ornate tokens. You want to keep them for this. I have guides for a lot of these, by the way. If you want a specific guide for something, I've not done a guide for every single shell, but I think I'm going to add one for foundling and the obsidian cell shade, just because they're probably the hardest things, and I've got a few extra guides as well. And step 6 is your cleanup. Cleanup will basically be any shell shades that you've not quite unlocked, because there is a trophy for unlocking all the shell shades, and some of them you may not have unlocked just because you haven't killed enough enemies. So step 6, just your cleanup guys, just any shell shades not quite unlocked. Look in your runic familiarity menu, see what you haven't quite unlocked, and just use that shell, go on a level, quickly get the kills, and then that should be it. That should get you all the trophies by the time you've done that, guys, all the trophies. And if you've got any questions or anything, guys, just ask me in the comments and I'll answer as soon as I get a chance. But that's it, my trophy guide and roadmap for the Virtuous Cycle, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.